I have seen women in their pursuit for love end up losing themselves. Not only have we witnessed women put their futures and their careers on hold in the hopes that they will strengthen their unity with their male partner, we have observed instances where women have also gone as far as justifying intimate partner violence. Good evening, everyone. When I was approached with this debate topic, I was immediately delighted because there is nothing I love more than discussing the dynamics of love between men and women. If you are not already familiar with my work, I am the author of What a Time to Be Alone, the Sunday Times #1 bestseller. And I'm also the host of the newly popular podcast, the Slumflower Hour, where I dive deeply into my musings, my ideas, and my theories on why women do end up sacrificing too much in their pursuit for love. In this conversation, I think it's so important that we actually dive into the definitions that we've been taught that love mean. Because one thing that I've observed in the society that I've been raised in is that women are taught a very different definition of love to what men are taught. So for women who have a much more enthusiastic approach to their pursuit of love, we tend to see love as this haven where we will be able to finally feel the acceptance, the adoration, and the love that we feel like we're missing out on. We are taught to believe that one day you will finally find the one, and that man will love you so much that you will forget every flaw you've ever felt in your body. Whereas with men, especially as a young Nigerian woman raised in a Nigerian household, I have seen how patriarchy plays a huge role in what men are taught to believe they should expect to receive from their romantic partnerships with women, including servitude, including women being at their beck and call under the justification of not just culture, but religion too, expecting that women will unconditionally accept you as you are, even if you pretend to not know how to load the washing machine, whilst being very good at playing FIFA. Both things, a washing machine and a PlayStation, require you using a remote or a set of controls to know how to use it. So isn't it fascinating how a man can pretend to not know how to load the dishwasher, but knows how to win online on FIFA? But before I digress any further, the point I want to make in dragging men in that joke is to illustrate the fact that being a 29-year-old woman and having observed the ways that love has derailed women from their personal purpose, there's something really fascinating to observe in the ways that women are encouraged to pursue love as a way to seek purpose. We're told that, when you find the one, then everything will fall into place. And that concerns me because I have seen women in their pursuit for love end up losing themselves. Not only have we witnessed women put their futures and their careers on hold in the hopes that they will strengthen their unity with their male partner, we have observed instances where women have also gone as far as justifying intimate partner violence. And you often hear the phrase of, "But I love him." And usually what worries me about the phrase, "but I love him," is the fact that there is a word "but" before "I love him." Because if you're saying, "but I love him," the "but" implies that you are aware that you are compromising to your own detriment, but the love to you justifies that compromise. And that is what worries me. And the worry is what motivates me to do the work that I do. Because when we dive deep into the word love, and the ways that women value that love, it's important to observe how singlehood as a woman is seen as a stain. As of this moment we're having this conversation, yesterday was Valentine's Day. And I love that in recent times we've seen the ways that Valentine's Day has been rebranded as Galentine's Day. And people like myself have played a role in that rebrand. Not only through my book, What a Time to Be Alone, where I discuss the value of solitude and the importance of finding value in your own company, but also women are being encouraged to understand that there is power and value in divesting from the pursuit of romantic love, because again, our partnerships with men often involve us making ourselves smaller. And we justify it to ourselves because what is more important than finding true love? And whilst I do understand that love matters, love can be nourishing, love can be great, and love can be a safe space, the reality is, as long as the people that we are attempting to love have not made the preparations to love themselves enough, how will they love us? And so we find ourselves in this revolving spiral of chasing love. And then when we finally do find what we think resembles love, it ends up almost always not being enough. But we tell ourselves, well, you know, nothing's perfect. I guess I'll just stay here because no one's going to get me as much as he's going to get me. And these are the ways that women find ways to talk ourselves out of exercising our personal power. I find deep concern with this, and that's why I'm so happy to be here today to have this conversation, because love, as much as it's put on a pedestal, really isn't all that if it's coming from a man. And that's not to be negative. It's not to be negative on purpose, but it is to say, if a man can love you and you believe that that love can nourish you into a higher version of yourself, why do you discredit the reality that the love you as a woman have for yourself can also nourish you into a higher version of yourself too? Because this comes down to the pedestal that we place love on and the ways that we grant external people power over ourselves, power over how we see ourselves, power over how we feel about ourselves. And that power that we grant men reflects the patriarchy that we live in. So whilst I don't necessarily blame women for finding themselves in systemic behaviors that have been repeated for centuries, where the pattern remains that we just tell ourselves, bind yourself to a man, he'll love you, hopefully, enough for you to not want to leave him. And even if you want to leave him, you'll still stay because the people around you who love you will pressure you to believe that, well, you've got it now, you've got the partnership, you've got the children, you're doing the sacrifice thing that everyone else does. And at some point down the line, you're expecting some sort of certificate of participation from the high heavens that you've done the thing. But the reality is most women don't get that certificate of participation and the gold sticker. Most women end up with resentment. Resentment towards their male partners, but sadly, more importantly, resentment towards themselves. And when we see the ways that resentment affects a woman, oftentimes that resentment is turned inwards. And so it becomes an internal battle. It becomes an internal poison that then stops being about the man and it becomes about the ongoing journey you have with yourself as a woman. And so my work is all about encouraging women to dream beyond being loved by a man. Because the reality is, if you are in love with yourself and you are living a life that you have chosen and not settled for, the love will inevitably find you, but that love will never in any way compare to the love you already have for yourself, because you set that foundation. And the love that could come from any man, no matter how amazing he is, will only be an external addition to something that already exists internally. And so it is important that through this conversation, hopefully, we leave with the opportunity to confront and interrogate the ways that we understand love as it is fed to us today. And it grants us room to also identify the ways that we use love as a way to distract ourselves from seeking personal purpose. Because even when you find the partner that you feel is for you, there is always going to be more work to do. And so in the grand scheme of the conversation of women sacrificing too much for love, I do believe that the biggest sacrifice a woman makes for love is the sacrifice of her own self, her own identity, the version of her that she could be outside of making herself malleable for the opportunity to be loved by someone who barely is changing anything about himself in order to be with a woman. And of course, men will always interrupt you. I'm joking. I will wrap my point up with my last sentiment being that whilst love is important and whilst Karma, my beautiful opposition, made the joke about me saying that if a relationship with a man doesn't come with money, then it's disposable. I stand 10 high-heeled toes on that joke, but to explain that joke and to explain what I meant, my point is that women need to seek more than just love. Women need to seek security, whether that's financial security, whether that's security in the form of having community, whether that's also security in the form of having a partner who's not afraid to see you grow and evolve to heights that he's never seen you in. And so thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and I'm grateful to be part of this debate.